I've made a start with the suspension part overhaul. So I should have done it before and after really, but I'll show you what I've got to so far. So this was the original subframe part that I've got well known to, because I've took it now about 50,000 times. Let me explain to you what I've been doing so far. I started with a wire brush on a drill, and then I suddenly realised I actually hate doing this job. So I started with a wire wheel and scraper and whatnot, and it was just very time consuming. I mean, yeah, it's still rusty, but I remember watching an old video where someone was saying, like, if you've got really old, rusty, crusty, greasy parts, to get some oven cleaner. So I've got this thin plastic sheet that it's on a roll, very thin polythene. I sprayed the whole thing in oven cleaner and I just wrapped it up and I left it overnight. I mean, it's got some dodgy chemicals in it basically when you look at the side of the bottle. So I did that, I left it pretty much overnight. I came back the next day, I ripped off the wrapping, and this is what came out. I mean, this is not what's happened after I've sort of cleaned it up. So basically it just stripped everything off. Like even the original paint in some places, you can see there where it's sort of, I think there is where I gave it a coat of something. But you can see this has done the oven cleaner has done a really good job. So I'd recommend that. I don't know if it's too powerful for, I wanted to keep some of the protective coating on it, because I think they're actually quite good, the protective coatings on these when they're originally made. But it actually just stripped the whole lot off. So I literally just washed it down with soapy water, got a wire brush and just cleaned out. I mean, it's quite hard to get in the nooks and crannies of certain things, but it's all been sprayed out. So that's all been stripped, this initial part. So this is pretty much the process that I'm thinking of doing for all the suspension parts. But if I just show you what I'm doing if I just finish this first part only, then I'll show you at the end all of it when I've rebuilt and remade all the suspension parts. This side's left untreated at the moment. This is just basically just stripped back to bare metal from the oven clean. I've got some sandpaper and some wire brushes, and I cleaned it as best as possible. I've got all the loose stuff off, so there's no real loose stuff. The other side, I'll flip it over, has had several coats of this stuff. Now this came, when I looked on the internet, this came very, very highly recommended on all different websites, tests and whatnot. So I was quite impressed with it. So this has had 3 light coats. It's probably done more than half a can that has at the moment. And I've still got to do this side. So let's have a look. So this is the other side now. This side's been, the whole thing was obviously oven cleaned, deep cleaned, stripped, sanded and back to. So now this has had 3 coats as recommended on the tin. It says 2 to 3 coats on the tin. Not sponsored by this in any way. But I don't know if you can see the finish on that. But that is absolutely amazing, that is. I am really happy with the finish on that. It's just like a really smooth, mirror-like finish. So I think with this stuff, it's basically a converter and it creates a primer, and you can basically paint straight over this. But I don't think I'm going to do that. What I might do, I might just scuff this down slightly, and I've got something else called rust encapsulator. So depending on how far you want to go with this, I mean, you could just go straight to chassis paint now and paint this up, but I'll just show you the effects of, I don't know if you can get it on camera, but that is a really nice finish on that. So pretty much I suppose that's converted a lot of the rust back to hard metal where it can, I suppose. Still need to strip these bushings out. I'm still in 2 minds whether to change these bushings. They're actually very good condition, these front ones. I don't want to change stuff on this, but then they are still nearly 50 years old. So I'm going to go ahead, flip it on the other side again now, and I want to finish off the rust converter phase of it. So what I've got as well, I've got a product called Rust Encapsulator. I'll show you that later on once I've finished this. So that apparently that locks in everything as well, and I think that's got like a primer finish as well, so you can paint on top of that. I did buy some epoxy primer, so I'm still in 2 minds whether to scuff that down again on top of that. And then I think if you try to spray paint anything on this, because it's such a shiny finish, it's not really going to stick, it's going to peel off. Then you've defeated the whole object of painting it up. So I don't know if you just go straight to paint now. I'll see how I think. So let's come back once I've finished using this stuff. So I think I bought 3 cans of this stuff off Amazon. I think it was £36. It's just a spray, so you can obviously spray it in places that you can't really reach with a brush and stuff. So we'll come back when it's other side's done, see how it looks. So this is the same side. It's just had 3 coats now of the Jenolite rust converter, and as you can see, it has made a really nice finish on it. I'm really happy with this stuff, it's really good. So back on the bench now, as you can see, it's changed colour. So this was step 2 of my plan. So it's called basically rust encapsulator. This is by a company called Buzzweld. I was looking online, this one's empty now. I was looking online at rust encapsulators and other sorts and whatnot, and this company came up, Buzzweld, UK based company. So that's 1 can of, what size was this? 400ml, this one. So what this, you can spray this directly on top of rust. So it's simple to use, heavy load, blah blah blah, working temp, thoroughly shake out. This was my plan of attack. It's had 3 coats of rust converter, this one. It's had, I'm only giving it 1 coat of this. I sort of concentrated on the top, I don't know why. I should have more concentrated on the bottom. So 1 can didn't really do the whole chassis, the whole subframe, which I hoped it would have done. It sort of like speckled the bottom part, but I think I'm going to leave it at that, I think. So, and it's actually got quite a nice texture to this. Probably minimal keying maybe, and I think I'm going to go straight to top coat. So this company, I don't know why I chose it. I looked at their website, and basically they deal with welding equipment, and I'm thinking, well, a welding equipment website should know how to deal with rust specialist equipment. So I went with this. I looked them up. They seem to be big with the Land Rover boys, this type of stuff, this particular company. So that was 1 can. I think that was like 18, I can't remember off the top of my head. It was nearly £18 for that 1 spray can, and it didn't cover the whole thing that I'd like it to have done. I was hoping 1 can would have done the whole lot. But also when I bought that though, I bought the paint. This is the same stuff but in a tin version, so this can be painted on really. So hopefully that's a 1 litre tin if I remember. Yes it is. So I've got that. I may give it a light keying, I'm not sure yet. I think it's quite a good surface. It says it's a primer, so I shouldn't need keying if it's a primer surface. So from the same company again, Buzzweld, I've got this chassis all-in-one thing, another 400ml spray can. But I think what I'm going to do with this is, also I've got that, and I also went ahead and bought the 1 litre version as well of the paintbrush version. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to just get some cheap disposable brushes, and I'm going to paint it on as I'm going to paint this on as best as I can by hand, I think, because I think you get a thicker coverage and it goes, which is probably better for the underside chassis. I got the spray can version because I thought maybe if there's a couple of hard to reach places after I've painted it, if there's any areas that I haven't seen, I'm just gonna touch them in with the spray can, and then hopefully that's that. Also I stripped out the suspension bushings on these. I thought better to get them out now. I need to give them a bit of a clean, and might spray some rust converter in the holes as well. So that's a stage we're at. I'll show you what I'm going to do with 1 part only, which is this part, and I'm probably going to follow suit for the rest of them, and we can just see it all at the end. So I've decided that the chassis stuff is the worst part of the car that I most dislike doing at the moment. I've done all other stuff like welding body panels or rust repair panels and the engine mounts, and I've quite enjoyed doing that sort of stuff, but this stuff's been a bit of a headache, mainly because those 50-year-old suspension parts, I suppose they've been exposed to the elements most of their life, and everything is just rust solid. I've been struggling no end to get stuff shifted. Thanks for watching.